Okay, Adam. So I thought we'd do this little video quickly for people who are subscribed to the YouTube channel, if you aren't subscribed. But yeah, I thought we'd do this as a quick conversation because after a very rough 2024, Don't and Deck Nine are in a very precarious situation. Not as like incredibly optical as we thought maybe in the past, but it's been a rough period. I just wanted to know, which studio do you think is in a bit more of a troubling situation now in your eyes? A very rough 2024.
Yeah. No, I believe that Deck Nine is probably in the most trouble right now. For a particular reason that happened pretty recently. Multiple things. They've had 3 layoffs in the past 2 years, if I'm correct.
Yes.
The past 2 years, they've had 3 rounds of layoffs. We've seen plummeting sales on of double exposure. We are seeing fan distrust into Deck Nine. Now Deck Nine is associated, like the whole of it is now associated with, well, how do you treat Life is Strange? They're not looking at the Expanse. They're not looking at really any other projects that Deck Nine has done. They're just looking at them as like, well, you haven't been doing Life is Strange correctly, even though True Colors came out and people loved it. But there's now fan disloyalty, there's layoffs, there's articles written about them in salty manners, whereas Don't is in a financial kind of particular kind of situation. I mean, we have the SJTV situation that's happening with unionization, of course, but that again, we're talking about financials here, right? Banishers didn't sell well. That's not because it was a bad game. It's just because it came out in a pretty rough market. Harmony didn't sell well. That's because it's a very niche game. And now the shoulders are being laid on with Lost Records, but there is still fan loyalty to Michelle Coe, to Luke, to Jean-Luc. There's a lot of people that are involved in Don't Nod right now that people have faith in. They're just in a system that the games industry is already teetering, right?
Yeah.
So that's why I think Deck Nine is in a heavier situation, because we've seen active layoffs and fan disloyalty.
No, it's fair points. I think my stance at the moment is that I think they're both deeply in trouble as well. I mean, neither studio is in a very good position for the time being, if anything. I think for me, my feeling is that Deck Nine, in the long-term perspective, is in a lot of trouble in terms of, obviously, the IGN piece came out, the layoffs have happened. I think the one saving grace that they have at the moment, for the moment at least, is that the Life is Strange IP is sticking with them for the time being. I think that's the more reassuring thing that I have at the moment, where it feels like they have like a safety latch, where it feels like that Square Enix will still take the bulk of like production, will take the bulk of marketing, etc., and they have like a reliant IP. In the short term, and at least the medium term, and I'm being really truly unbiased, I do think Don't Nod is a little bit of a situation here, picky situation, because as you said, the STJV, which has been at a war with Don't Nod for the last couple of months over like strikes.
I said SJTV. My apologies. STJV.
Don't worry about it. Yes. I change those letters around all the time. It always happens to me.
Yeah.
They've been at a war with them, and I think like only recently it seems like maybe there's a breakthrough which needs to happen in early 2025 for them, because it's like Don't Nod does not need this noise amid getting Lost Records out. But that's been happening. Don't Nod's been hit with layoffs as well because of the reorganization project, so that's going to be affecting them. They've written down assets for Jusant and Banishers. They've had a horrible financial year as well. On top of that, they've stalled production lines on certain games. Every game since Life is Strange has struggled to have any sort of major commercial success. It's always usually Life is Strange and Vampire royalties that come on their financial earnings. And like, I'm just kind of curious about what the short-term and medium-term impact is for Don't Nod, because for the time being, I agree with you in the sense that Deck Nine has burnt a lot of bridges with certain people. So like their brand association is damaged, but I feel like they can kind of retreat into the shadows for the time being whilst, they gather their thoughts and stuff. But it's like Don't Nod has kind of come front and center now, and it's like they have Koira coming out this year, which I think, it's not going to move the needle in terms of sales and stuff, but it's like, it's still a game. And then obviously Lost Records comes out, which is the big one, but it's in that window. So it's in Q1 2025. And it's like, it needs to show, man. It needs to show on their earnings. Like the earnings have been horrible. And it's like, my fear as well of like going into 2025 is like they don't do well as a studio. There's more layoffs there. They have to restructure things, and it's like, you know, Tencent has a big position in that company. Imagine if Tencent withdrew its stake like next year because of like bad financial earnings and stuff. It's not a good sign for Don't Nod. And like for Don't Nod, they really need this AA game to cut through with the branding and marketing to kind of like give Don't Nod something that needs success. It's like you said before with Michelle's conversation, where it's like, you know, Michelle was like helped bring Don't Nod into a financial stable position with Life is Strange and like bringing that game out. And I'm just a little bit concerned with where Don't Nod goes from here. In the short and medium term, it's Don't Nod for the time being, because like it could all change within minutes if Lost Records comes out and it's a major success, but that's a big if. Climate has changed, different scenarios that have happened. Can you cut through in the middle of this sandwich of games that have come out? And yeah, I think ultimately that's my situation of it. I think Deck Nine is in all kinds of like other trouble as well. Like you don't release a brand new game and to a very polarizing reception, and then you sack the entire creative team and then everyone else in the key positions. That's going to cause a lot of situational problems with them. I'm just kind of curious, like how they bounce back, because for me, as long as they have Life is Strange's IP, it's something
Tech Nine doesn't have that IP. They're just like when they have the contract to.
That's what I meant.
Like that's what I mean. It's like a lot of people want to say all this stuff about, you know, Deck Nine. They control Life is Strange. They're ruining Life is Strange because they are contracted. They are commissioned by Square Enix to make this game, right?
Yeah.
So if they have the commission money for Life is Strange, that can fund other projects for Deck Nine. But if Square pulls out and says you're not going to get the commission money anymore, that's a lot of funding to the studio that's, you know, it's no longer there. So
yeah. I should have said as well, when I mean that they've got the IP, I mean that they've got the contracts for the time being. That's like what I'm referring to. It's a kind of like, you know, like a safety net, because like Don't Know doesn't have that safety net at the moment. Like nothing has like got enough to hold them on to that. So it's like, I hope that if anything as well, Don't Know is like trying to license another deal with someone like Focus, or trying to get some big publisher to work on a game or something with them. So it's like they have a bit of reassurance. But I think they're in I think both studios, like obviously Deck Nine has been brutally hit in the last 2 years or so, but I think it's starting to catch up with Don't Nod as well. And I think the expectations for me as well, like, you know, that messaging with Lost Records has to cut through into a bigger picture. Can it cut through? That's the bigger question, because it's like, you know, even my man here as well, he loves Lost Records. He's doing a podcast with us, but he's like avowed, and it's like, you know, you need to like try and get
like,
people.
There are 3 reasons why I'm getting the Avowed deluxe edition. Number 1, I want the map. Number 2, I want the digital soundtrack. Number 3, it's 5 days early, so that means it's not coming out the same day as Lost Records, so I can play it a little early before Lost Records, so I can play both without having to like have it the same day.
Well, that's actually probably one of the one benefits we've had from an early access release, where you get to play.
The one time I'm like, okay, early access is actually working for me in my favor.
I didn't think this would happen going into 2025. I had optimism for like both studios, but I think maybe I think we're in a video game recession in some form, way, shape, or form. I think that you starting to see it with sales. Like when your cost of living is more expensive, especially in the US and the UK, and it's like you're buying games at full price retail, it's going to hurt you. And I think like in itself, Deck Nine was hurt from Square Enix's charging price for double exposure and the high end of that, and the Ultimate Edition, and then obviously the backlash, the controversy, etc. But I think if anything as well, I think one of the saving graces for Lost Records will be its price point, which we don't fully know yet, but I'm expecting it to be in that $30 ballpark, give or take. And I think that's going to be something that will lure people in,
$30
in that ballpark, like maybe $30 to $40. I think I don't see it being. I'd be very surprised if it was over $40 in the US. I think it's going to be about £30 in the UK, £35, because it's a shorter game, it's a digital game for the time being as well. So it's like we got that, but yeah. I'm just a little bit like, you know, I think my current stance is that in the short term and the medium term, it's Don't Nod for the time being, because again, that spotlight is shifting onto them, and they've got they're a publicly listed company, they've got investors, they've got people they need to answer to, and there's more kind of like jeopardy with Don't Nod in terms of like that they have to manage their own IPs, their own production lines, their games. But with Deck Nine, as long as that Life is Strange IP is with them for the time being in the contracts and stuff, they're okay. But that could quickly like change in certain circumstances. So yeah, that's my kind of current stance on that.
Nice. Yeah.
Yeah, I thought we'd leave it here. I hope you enjoyed this conversation, guys, as well. Let us know your thoughts in the comments. This is just an experimental format we're trying on the channel as well. It would have been on the podcast, but we kind of had to cut it because of how long that podcast was. But yeah, if you are new here as well, I'm Adnan. Adam's here as well. We host a Life is Strange podcast every 2 weeks called StrangeCast. We also host Lost Records Journal, which is a bi-weekly podcast about Lost Records focused content. So do go and check them out. They're on all our RSS feeds. They're on YouTube as well. And if you are new here, as always as well, please do drop a subscribe to the channel, turn notifications, like the video, share your friends, help support us. We're a very small channel. It helps keep up to date with all the content we do, from interviews, podcast news, etc. So do stay tuned. We're almost at 1,500 subscribers. So yeah, please do subscribe if you can. Let us know your thoughts in the comments, which you think is in a more difficult position. It'd be very interesting to hear your thoughts. But yeah, until next time, we'll see you later, guys. Bye.
Later.